So UFC Seattle was last night. Henry Cejudo's return fight against Song Yadong didn't go well. He lost by technical decision. There were a lot of controversies in that fight, a lot of eye pokes, low blows, but we're not talking about that. I did my review last night. If you want to go check it out, go look at it. My last video. But I wanted to talk about Henry Cejudo, his move to retire when he did, and what he could have gone on and did in the sport had he stayed in, because he's 38 years old now, which in the lighter weight classes like flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight, even lightweight, that is kind of ancient for a fighter, because in those weight classes, they rely on their speed, they rely on their endurance, and he did have good endurance. It's just the ring rust was there. So I want to pull up firstly his um. Whoa, what is going on here? Uh, there we go. I want to pull up his record and just go through his entire career. So started off in the Olympics. We all know this. He was a wrestler in high school, a wrestler in college. Went on to the Olympics. Went undefeated. Won a gold medal. You know, Triple C. That's where it comes from. Then in 2013, he made his MMA debut. Won it by a first round submission due to strikes. Um, then moved on, got another TKO in the first round, another TKO in the first round, TKO in the first round, and then a unanimous decision against Ryan Hollis. Had a really good career outside of the UFC. Won his fight against Elias Garcia. Then he made his debut in 2014 against Dustin Kimura, won by unanimous decision. Went on to fight Chris uh, Carrios- Carrioso, beat him by decision, unanimous decision. Chico Camus, unanimous decision. Beat Jasir Formiga by split decision. Then he got his first fight against Demetrius Johnson, where he got knocked out in the first round by flying knee and punches. That's not a bad loss, though. Demetrius Johnson at that time was was and still is looked at as the GOAT of the flyweight division, one of the greatest fighters we have ever seen compete in the sport of MMA. Then his following fight with Joseph Benavidez lost by split decision, not a bad loss. Then he rebounded, got a second round TKO against Luis Reyes, beat Sergio Pettis, Anthony Pettis' little brother, I think. Yeah, little brother, by unanimous decision. Got back to Demetrius Johnson and won this fight in a very, very close fight. I had Demetrius Johnson winning this fight personally. Then again, I am a big Demetrius Johnson fan. After that, Demetrius Johnson will get traded for Ben Askren. You know his story. Ben Askren came in, had had that controversial win against Robbie Lawler, got knocked out in 5 seconds by a flying knee by Jorge Masvidal, then lost to Damian Maya. Then, after that, TJ Dillashaw moved down to flyweight, had a horrible weight cut, got knocked out in the first round by Henry Cejudo. Then he popped for PEDs. What was it? Oh, shit. What did he pop for again? 1 second. EPO, yeah. He popped for EPO. There it was. Um, then Henry Cejudo made the decision, move up to bantamweight. This is at a time where Dana White was very pro, um, double champ. Knocked out Marlon Moraes in the third round, won this fight comfortably, and then knocked out Dominic Cruz. defending the belt once. Then he decided to retire, and that's what we're talking about in this video. Um, but before we do, came back in 2023, lost out Aljamain Sterling by split decision, lost to Marab by unanimous decision, who is now the current champion at 135. And then we had the fight against Song Yadong. He did have moments in this fight, like I said in my review, but he looked he looked like he couldn't compete with the best of the world. Song Yadong really had an easy time picking him up, even with, the nut shots and the eye pokes. He was winning this fight very comfortably. I had him winning all 3 rounds. You could have given one of the rounds to Henry Cejudo, but it was again very close. But you look at his career, gold medalist, 2 division champ, you all know the story. Now, I want to move over to the rankings when Henry Cejudo was champion. This was in, what would that have been? When did he retire again? He retired 2020, alright? So these are the rankings in May 2020. So Henry Cejudo is champion. Marlon Moraes, he knocked out. Aljamain Sterling, he would have fought next. He came back against Aljamain Sterling when he was champion. Lost for split decision. I do believe had Henry Cejudo stayed active, he probably would have beaten Aljamain Sterling. That would have been another title defense. Piotr Jan, he wants to fight Piotr Jan, but ended up fighting. Are they blanking on his name? Song Yadong. But again, I think that I would have favored Piotr Jan in this fight. Um, Probably by decision. I think that Piotr Jan has excellent takedown defense. Some of the best boxing I've ever seen in MMA. Corey Sandhagen, again up there. I think that Henry Cejudo would have beaten him too, because there's just something about Corey Sandhagen in title fights, number 1 contender fights, where he doesn't perform well. And I always say this before I hear anything, I love Corey Sandhagen. I really like his style. I think he's really fun. Rafael Assunção, no longer in the UFC. Jose Aldo, that would have been another great name under his belt. Um, Jose Aldo would go on to lose to Marab, um, who is not even on this list. But then you have Pedro Munoz. Again, I think that he would have had an easy time beating him. Jimmy Rivera would have had an easy time beating him. Cody Garbrandt, when he was on that losing streak, again, I would have favored Henry Cejudo. I think that he would have knocked Cody Garbrandt out because that's what everybody was doing. Rob Font, I think he would have beaten back then. That was that before or after? Nah, I'm pretty sure it was right before Rob Font would move into the top 5, and I was run. Cody Stevens, Donald Cruz, he beat John Dodson. Um, he fought. I'm pretty sure was in flyweight. Song Yadong just lost to him. I would have favored him had he stayed in there, like I said, and then Marlon Vera, who would have his little streak and fight Sean O'Malley for the belt. And still, Sean O'Malley wasn't even in the division yet. So, with Henry Cejudo, right, had he would have stayed, that's the one. Had he would have stayed in the division, I feel like he could have racked up a few title defenses. The reason he retired early, I think that he had a kid and he wanted more money. And he thought that he had more leverage than he did. Again, like I said, it's the story for almost any fighter that has ever fought. But being a gold medalist, being a two division champion, I think that, you know, him being motivated, him being younger too, he would have been 34, 35, which tends to be the cutoff in these divisions. However, I think, if anything, activity is one of the core crucial things an MMA fighter needs. You know, unless your name is John Jones or GSP or Demetrius Johnson, you cannot take a long way off, come back, and have the same success that you have before. We've seen this countless times. You can list any fighter, Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, whoever you want to pick, you get it. But like, man, he has money. He made money as a champion. He has his podcast. I watch from time to time, and it's just I'm a fan. And I say this all the time. I was never a fan of Henry Cejudo up until recently. Like, I get the gimmick, I get what he's going for, and honestly, it was kind of funny when he did the fortune cookie thing. But like, man, it's sad when you see guys who can go for greatness. You know, there's 600 fighters on the roster. You only get ranked in the top 15. To get into the top 10 is difficult. To get into the top 5 is nearly impossible. To become champion, only very, very few in this sport become a champion in the UFC. We've seen countless guys who have been a top 5 guy in the UFC, top 10, top 15, go into Bellator, go into one, go into the lower promotions, and go on a title run. And that only shows you how difficult it is to become a champion. Well, like, dude, you gotta look at it this way. When you're a UFC fighter, in his case, he was a bantamweight fighter, wasn't flyweight. You have like a 20-year window. If you come in as an 18-year-old, early 20s, you have a 15 to 20-year window to rack up wins, to try and win a title, to make as much money as you can. And he chose to waste nearly 4 years of his prime. And, you know, now you look at flyweight, Pantoja, who is an older guy, he's looking like the second greatest flyweight ever. Bantamweight, Marab, who he fought, when was that again? He fought Marab in 2024. So last year, February, actually a little over a year ago, exactly. Marab beat him clearly, and the pace that Marab has, I feel that I would have favored Henry, or I would have favored Marab going into that fight regardless. But again, when you're in the gym, when you're fighting twice to three times every year, you're in training camps majority of the year. That is crucial to so many fighters. You know, like Henry Cejudo says, he's gonna continue. Maybe he can rack up some wins against, the guys from 10 to 15. Maybe he introduces some prospects into the division, like being a prospect, getting a win over Henry Cejudo, having that over your career is major, double champion, one of the greatest combat sports athletes. Again, getting a gold medal in the Olympics really says something. But man, it's he played himself. He he thought that he had more leverage than he did against the UFC. And the lighter weight classes, it's sad to say, you don't really have that leverage. I would say from lightweight to heavyweight, those are the guys that have leverage. You know, Connor, Khabib, Islam, Silva, GSP, all of these guys who were really box office, right? They were massive pay per view stars, and they made the UFC a lot of money. Henry Cejudo was right there, and he gave it all away. So we'll see what's next for him. We'll see if he retires again. Man, dude, younger fighters, take note. When you get that belt, you when you get the belt, you become a part of the UFC. You become a part of that pay per view. You got to use that leverage wisely. You can't overstep, but you cannot understep, or else you're gonna lose millions of dollars on either side. But you can't take away what Henry did. You can't take away the fact that, again, I'm pretty sure he's the only fighter to get a gold medal. The only gold medalist to transition to MMA and not win not only one title but two titles. You know, it sucks. I was never a big fan of Henry. The gimmick kind of, I understand it now. I think it's funny. It's funny. I can't lie. It's a funny gimmick, but again, man, you only have 20 years in this sport. Use it wisely. But I'm kind of rambling on, saying the same thing over and over again. Let me know in the comments down below. What did you make of Henry Cejudo's performance against Song Yadong? And do you agree with me that him retiring when he did, him over calculating the leverage that he had, prevented him from getting multiple title defenses, getting the money that he wanted, and going down as one of the greats? But let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all of that. Later.